Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Sumaira Khan. I'm a journalist and a news anchor, and I've been doing this for the past 22 years. So 22 years does seem like a lot of time when I underline the number of years that I've been doing it. But to me, personally, I do not feel as if it has been such a long time that I've worked in this news media industry. It seems as if I just started yesterday. And this only happens when you love your work, when you are passionate about what you do, when every day when you wake up, you look forward to what is going to be the day like today, what is going to be the news story of the day. And that excites you. The newsroom excites you. The news stories excite you. And that is how you keep doing what you're doing every day and constantly for 22 years. Except also a fact that I am a Gen X. I'm not Gen Z or millennials because they do not have probably the passion to stay focused on something for too long. So yes, I started 22 years ago and it has been a long journey. But I would not tell you the story which normally is that when I was a kid, I looked at a television and I saw Salma Sultan and I saw Shammi Narang and I was inspired and I thought that one day I will be an anchor like them. And then I got an opportunity, and when I got that opportunity, I became one. So my story is not like that. What is my story but then? When did I become inspired to become a news anchor or come in front of the camera? My story is slightly different. I never thought that I would be in front of the camera ever. I never thought that I could be a TV personality. I never thought that I could speak the way I speak, the way I conduct my news shows or my reporting. Why didn't I think like that? Why was it never on the horizon for me? One, yes, when we were growing up, that was never probably an option when I was in school. But when I did get into mass communication course, at that point also I never thought that I can be an anchor. Because nowadays when we go to these institutes, these mass communication institutes, out of a class of 100, mostly 99% students want to be either a news anchor or a reporter because they want to be in front of the camera. And that is commendable because they feel that they want to do something because according to them, that is where the most glamorous part of the news industry is. So that's fine. But why was I not thinking like that? Why was I not thinking that I can be an anchor? Why was I not thinking when I was doing the course? Why was I not thinking that I can become an anchor, I can become a reporter? So when I was doing the course, I used to think this, that I can be a writer. And that was my aim, that I will become a feature editor. I will become a feature editor, I'll write stories, I will work on a Sunday page. So probably because I was lazy, but that was not only the reason. The reason was, it goes beyond it. In my cousins, in my family, the cousins that I have, I was the odd one out. The odd one out, not because I was the prettiest, the odd one out, not because I looked very nice, no. I was the odd one out because I was the most common looking girl in my family. All the other girls in my family are pretty, tall, fair, educated I was also, but not the fair, the tall, the beautiful girls, the ones that you seek for in the matrimonial ads. I was completely different. And so I was always told that you're the smarter one. They are the prettier one, but you're the smarter one. And so I always thought that I can probably write and I can be the smarter one in the room. And so I never thought that I can be in front of the camera. But today I love the camera. I love the camera because when I got an opportunity, when I entered and when I got my first job and I entered a newsroom, at that point also what happened was that, and that's an interesting story, we were a lot of youngsters who had joined this newsroom, and out of that newsroom, some of our seniors also picked out a few people who they wanted to be the news anchors. And those were the pretty faces that they picked out. Very fair. One of the girl was of Kashmiri descendant, so very fair, tall girls. So they picked out them and they said that, okay, you can try and you can give a trial and you can give a test and probably you can be in front of the camera. I did not even try then because I never thought that I can be one of them. But then randomly they said that, okay, we are going to conduct a test for everybody. So they felt probably that we are leaving out certain sections. They gave us an opportunity. And when I did get an opportunity, it was only 2 minutes. I was given 2 minutes to stand in front of the camera and say 3 lines. But those 3 lines and those 2 minutes changed everything. Because the camera did not have a perspective. The camera did not have a viewpoint that probably I had, that was ingrained in me, that probably even some of the people in the newsroom had. The camera had a perspective which was just looking at me, and it said the truth. It said that I can be in front of the camera. And when we finally got the results, I was selected. They said that she looks good in front of the camera, her voice is good, and she can be an anchor. So from that day onwards, I realized that when I'm in front of the camera, it speaks the truth. And I need to speak the truth. But I also learned something else. It is about perspective. We always look at things from certain perspectives that we have. जिसे हम हिंदी में नज़रिया कहते हैं. हमारा नज़रिया हम दुनिया को कैसे देखते हैं, वो हमारे अंदर, हमारे आसपास से इकट्ठा होता है और वो हमारी डिसीजंस को शेप करता है. हमारे नज़रिया, हमारे पर्सपेक्टिव्स, हम कैसे चीज़ों को देखते हैं, how we look at things, how we behave, are shaped by these things. So that is what changed at that moment when I faced the camera, and I realized that it speaks the truth. And I can stand in front of the camera and speak the truth for everybody else. But when I'm talking about the journey that I've had, which is of 22 years, so this is one part how I started. But the other part of how you consistently, and I would want to talk about that also, that how you consistently do something day in and day out and keep yourself interested in it. Because there are good moments, there are high points, there are moments where you reach the height and there are accolades and everybody is saying good things about you. Those are good moments, and those are the moments that just pass in a few seconds or in a few days, a few months. But then to stay and keep doing something, the longer part, the part where there is the lull, the part where there are no accolades, that's the part when you have to keep your interest alive. How do you do it? And to tell you that the lesson that I learned in my life very early, and that has stayed with me and that has helped me shape my careers, that has helped me in my relationships, my work profession, everywhere, is the lesson that I learned very early in my life. I was 13 years old and I lost my father. My mother was 32 years old and she had 2 kids, me and my brother. And she had to raise both of us. It was a big shock to the family. He was healthy and we lost him, and it was a shock to everyone. Obviously, the biggest shock to my mother. We were too young to probably even process the loss that we had at that moment. And when you lose a parent that young, you always look towards the other parents because that person is your anchor. And you look towards that anchor to give you stability. But my mother was shattered. She had no clue what she's going to do with her life. And I remember that there were a few months that passed in this manner where she had no clue how she's going to lead her life because this was so sudden. And then I saw that transformation in her. In another 3 months, 4 months, I really don't remember how many months, but after a certain time, I found that there was a change in her. She was very quiet for all these months and she was just within herself. She was just grappling with the grief that she had encountered. And then suddenly I started seeing a change in her. She was looking more positive, she was more forthcoming, she was more happy. And later on, and then it turned for our family. She was positive, she was happy, she encouraged us to do things, and that became just a part of our life that, okay, we have lost somebody, but then we moved on, because she moved on. And later on, I think after a few years, I remember my mother saying this to us, that the most important learning that she had from that moment was that, and she keeps saying this again and again, and I remember that very vividly, that if you were to dwell on things that are not in your control, you would keep yourself in that hole and you would never get out. You need to move on. You need to move on towards positivity. You need to move on towards a positive thought, and you do not dwell on things that are not in your control. And she taught that to us through example. She taught that to us through her everyday life, and that has stayed with me. I have learned that from her, that you do not dwell on things that are not in your control. You move towards positivity, you move ahead in life, you look towards a positive direction, and because there are moments in your life, there are moments in your professional career, there are moments in your personal life, in your relationships, in your friend circle, there are moments when you feel that things are not in your control. These are the things that you cannot overpower. So when you realize that things are not in your control, you move on, you move ahead, you don't dwell on things that are not in your control. And I've learned that, and that has helped me in my professional career also. Now, this is another story that I want to tell you, and I would want to end with that another thing that has helped me in my life, because these are the life lessons that I've had and I wanted to share with you. Another thing that has helped me in my life, and when we talk about perspective, और हम जब नज़रिए की बात करते हैं, because वही एक theme है जिसके बारे में मैं बात आज करना चाहती थी कि how we look at life, it changes everything for us. So I remember that I was in graduation, and in final year we were submitting our forms, and there was a huge crowd in front. And mind you, I do not mean that everybody else should draw example from this and learn what I'm going to say, but we were going to fill up forms for our graduation final year, and there was a huge crowd in front of the proctor office, and we were not able to fill our form. So my friend said that let's go watch a movie in the meantime, and we'll come back and fill the form. So we went for a movie in the meantime, and when we were standing in front of the ticket window, I said that what are we going to do in our life? We are not filling up the form, and we are standing here in front of a movie ticket window, and we prefer to stand in this queue rather than in the queue to fill up our forms. What are we going to do with our life? She said, no, we are going to be fine because we are street smart. We are not wasting our time because there's a huge crowd there. We are utilizing it. We'll watch a movie, we'll go back, fill our form. So we watched a movie, we went back, the crowd was gone by then, we filled our forms, and we did graduate. So being street smart also helps you. That has helped me in my professional career. That helps you because you need to work, but you need to work intelligently. You need to work, but you need to work towards a goal, and that helps you. And that has helped me in my life. So one most important thing, that your perspective of how you see life changes with the experiences that you have. And if you're not inspired by Sahil Ludhianvi, as he has said, ले दे के अपने पास फकत एक नज़र तो है, क्यों देखें ज़िंदगी को किसी और की नज़र से हम. But I am not that inspired by Sahil Ludhianvi. I do believe that we do need to change our perspectives. We do need to look at other people, and that is also what is plaguing our news media these days. We keep talking about the fact that in the news media industry, there's only one kind of thing that we keep looking at. What I feel is that today we are living in our own cocoon. We do not look at other people. We do not look at their perspectives and their viewpoints. If we were to only look at other people, their perspectives, and if we are open to learning and listening to the other side, I would want all of you to do this exercise. If we look at one news channel, if we hear one news personality, we should try and look at the other news personality or somebody who's at the other end of the spectrum, and that can change our perspective, and that can change the way we look at things. And I would want to end this with this quote: the game of life is how you see it. The game of life is how you see it. Neither the way it is, nor the way it exists. It is all how you see it.